That was excessive.
Yeah,
You're
that
welcome.
was a little excessive.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Orion Podcast. My name is Chad Brock.
And I'm Zach Bailiff.
Welcome.
At Jackson Kayak, our roots run deep in moving water, in rivers. We got our start as a whitewater kayak company. And then the first fishing or dedicated fishing kayak was the Coosa. And the Coosa was designed from the ground up to be a river fishing kayak. And what does that mean? It means that it can go and handle moving water, light whitewater, rapids, tight areas where you need to be maneuverable and need to be able to turn, but also not sacrificing the features that help you get out on the water and catch fish. That line progressed and eventually became the Coosa HD. And the Coosa HD kind of evolved and took it to that next step. It added even more features and deck layout for an angler, but it didn't sacrifice the performance needed to get through moving water and get to those places that other anglers might not be able to get to. And now we launched the Coosa X. And the Coosa X is that evolution, that next step in the Coosa line at Jackson Kayak.
The neat thing about the Coosa X is that this was a team effort from the Jackson Kayak River paddlers, all coming together, giving their input, and having a say in what they'd like to see in this new kayak.
From the concept, being a part of the development team was just incredible, because it was a lot of folks with a lot of input, that each one of them had specific needs or wants that they would love to have seen in a boat.
We built it for people that want to get in moving water and have all the functionality of a updated and modern fishing kayak.
We've actually kind of gone back to some whitewater, moving water roots. I mean, this thing is nimble. At the same time, it's incredibly stable. I've crawled all over this boat, fore, aft, didn't matter what I was doing, and I never felt like I was going to tip over. Give me a moving water, it wasn't a problem.
The Coosa X is built for the river angler. That angler that wants to get to those areas that are a little bit harder to reach, a little bit harder to get to, where the fish haven't seen as many baits come by. You may have to run through some mild whitewater or get through some moving water or under trees or around rocks and be very maneuverable to get to where that X is, that X that the Coosa marks the spot.
The highlight of this boat being designed by the Jackson Kayak fishing team is that a lot of features that you think that you really want in a boat, well, they're there.
So in 2 strokes, I can do a 180 in this platform, and that's what makes it such a great platform for running moving water.
I feel like it really handles, the fast-moving water really well, because you can kind of get into some areas that you wouldn't be able to get into with another boat.
This is not just a boat that's going to be great for people who are really efficient at running rapids. This is going to be a boat that is great for any level of experience. If you want to learn to fish rivers or even small water, this would be great.
Oh, it's a great boat, especially for the Coosa River here. It's just an ultimate river kayak. For river fishing kayak, I'm looking for something that's stable, that's easy to maneuver, in current.
It's awesome. Great seat, very high, a lot of rod storage, ton of deck space, really, really stable. It's got a ton of maneuverability into it. So if you're a fan of the Coosa series, this will be right up your alley. It's been awesome, and it's handled everything we've thrown at it today.
Everybody came together, they put their input in, and what came out of it is an awesome river fishing kayak, the Coosa X.
The Coosa X, a Team JK signature watercraft.
So you have that.
Yeah, that
Coosa X.
was almost a movie.
That was almost a movie. It was a good movie, though. I can't wait. I tell you this.
That boat's cool.
Tell you this much. I cannot wait for me and you to have one of those here, maybe 2, and get into some mischief.
We're good at that.
You remember the Creek Show?
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking we drag them down the hill at the golf course, like just right there at the road by the old tennis courts. Drag that dude right down in there, and off we go. I don't know where we end up. I don't know which way we go. If we go up,
Yeah, we might want to map that out and figure out where our truck's going to pick us up.
We should probably go up. That's usually
The
how we
last
have-
time we tried that in the John boat and smoked the batteries, we almost ended up somewhere south,
called Medora.
further than that.
No, it would have been all the way down. It would have been a ride.
It might have been Templeton before they found us. I don't know.
It would have been a long walk. I'm telling you that right now. But no, I'm looking forward to getting that boat in my hands and doing a little paddling, man. Paddling sounds fun, honestly. You know, all this fishing and all this stuff, and you know, getting out and doing a little paddling on the river kind of sounds like a little bow hunting, which you just recently had some success in over the weekend.
Just a little bit. That was probably the toughest week of hunting I've ever had.
Yeah, the weather couldn't make up its mind, which is one of the things that killed you.
Well, I mean, I was just post rut, and yeah, it warmed up just a little bit. We had some cold mornings. I mean, down low 30s. But just I mean, they literally, the last bucks I had moving in daylight was the 19th, and I think we got home the 21st or 22nd. So I mean, they flat out exhausted and just laying low for a while. It was just terrible timing.
Yeah, I noticed that when we went out on Saturday night, we took a cruise up to next town up, and going across the field up there, and noticed the field was full of does, and that right there is the telltale sign that the rut is pretty much winding itself down when you see them all grouped up about like that again. And
yeah, it was done. I mean, even right at dusk, I was not seeing a whole lot of movement by anything whatsoever. I got lucky. I saw 4 deer total all week, and one of them was the same deer I saw twice, and that was a little fawn. Was born back in the spring, and that's the only thing that saved her, because I had her at 16 yards on my first day. So,
well, and the Orion cooler did take one doe back. So,
yeah. It actually, she rode in the junk cooler because I needed the ice to melt and pull the blood out of the meat,
right,
and age it a little bit. And had I put her in the Orion, it would have just been one big frozen block of ice. So, I had, well, the only reason I say that, I had some extra ice in the Orion, and I pulled it out tonight to put it on her in the other cooler, and it was the solid chunk. I had to take a big screwdriver and bust it all apart. So
I tell you what, it's going to drop down here again tonight, and I've probably got an Orion in my truck that is going to be ice by the end of the day tomorrow. Yeah. And I got to go clean it out and get it ready to bring back in and put over there.
Yeah. Well, I use several different apps, you know, just kind of their predictive algorithms and stuff as we go through season, just as any advantage you can get, you know, when you're limited on time and traveling to hunt, trying to pick dates and stuff. And Drury Outdoors has got one called Deercast, and they've got, I mean, decades of information in their predictive algorithm. And the whole time I was home, it was showing poor or bad on deer movement. And of course, tomorrow morning, we just got home yesterday, and tomorrow morning it's showing good and great. So I hope my trail camera lights up and at least shows me that there's something moving through that transition area I was hunting over. But yeah, it was tough. I mean, I had some monsters on camera during the rut, and one deer in particular that I was after for about 8 days straight last year. So we got a little history, and I'm hoping he makes it through another winter, and I've got his dates lined up for next year already. So
his calling card has been placed.
Yeah, I will not mess that up again.
Well, I mean, you know, when you're running from Indiana to Pennsylvania, that's and juggling dad life and married life.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. You know, when you're eight hours away. I mean, if I'm by myself on a hunting trip, I can do it in 7.5. And save a little bit of time. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, trying to schedule weeks off or vacations, you know, 2 months out, without really knowing, you know, what the weather pattern's going to do. And, you know, if you get any cold fronts coming in, or, you know, rain or storms, or if you're going to get hit with an early snow, or you don't know, you know, that early on. So you try and do your best to guess and pick dates you think are going to work and traditionally have in the past. And I was probably about 4 or 5 days early this year on that November hunt. So
Right.
my October hunt got thrashed with some hot weather. I mean, it was dang near 80 most days. We were home for that trip, and then I was just a little bit early on the November trip. My last day, I think that I ended up having to shuttle off that morning. Wife and kids got sick and had come home a day early, and I think that last day probably would have been prime. I was at the base of my tree and had one stick around it, getting ready to start my climb. I was going to hunt at least a half a day, and I could hear deer walking around me in the dark. So, but it is what it is. So we got to take the days we get and make the best of them.
You brought up a pretty good point talking about apps. I know for me, I've got a few different apps I use. Obviously, Google Earth, everybody knows. It's no secret at this point in time. One of the other apps I use now, I used to use Navionics, but I've actually moved over to CMAP. I really like it very well for, lake structure and different things like that. But, when I'm going someplace that I've never been and I'm going fishing, I really like to get on FishBrain app. Not that I'm in any way, shape, or form affiliated with FishBrain, but they do this little thing, and if you pay for the app, you can usually see it. People get on there and log their catches. Well, what I like to do, if I'm going to the lake somewhere, I look for clusters.
They're eager to share.
They're eager to share
information they should probably keep to themselves.
You should have kept that one to yourself, or placed the pin way over somewhere else that's not near the area where you caught them. But I like to use the FishBrain app, which I don't think it's as popular as it used to be. But you can still go back, look at the history, and find these clusters. And you'll see a point where you've just got like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different fish caught.
Yeah.
That's all been caught on this one area. And I'm telling you, there's been some times that when you don't know the lay of the land and you're running and gunning like that, man, it can really pay for itself as far as being able to find fish and take a unsuccessful trip to a successful place. Especially when you're traveling.
It's funny you say that, because on the hunting side, we work with OnX Maps now. But previously we worked with another company that had some pretty cool things going on early on. Then they kind of tapered off on new features, and then management kind of got squirrely. But anyway, they had a sort of a similar feature within the mapping app that they had, and trying to kind of build their own little social media interface on the inside of that, and you could log information like that, whether it was a harvest or kill or whatnot, and whether or not you've seen something here or that and the other. And you could actually, if you weren't careful, because you could select privacy levels and what information was shared and things like that, but if you weren't careful and didn't catch some of that, you might wind up posting information that you didn't want to be public. And especially on public ground, guys work their tail off to find animals and find good spots, and that not necessarily information you would give away for free to anyone and everyone.
No, definitely not on public ground. Especially, you get a big swath of public ground where everybody's hunting. That's gold. It takes. It's good and it's bad. It can really help someone that's novice, I think, maybe put together, when either it's a point or a transition in fishing, or in hunting, it might be a saddle, a pinch point somewhere where everything's kind of drawn up together, where, you can see where there's been a lot of deer travel come through there. But yeah, at the same time, if that's your favorite hunting spot that you've been in for years and years and years, and you thought nobody knew about it, and then all of a sudden it's like, I wonder what happened to that big old buck.
I think there'd be instances where it would probably be okay. So there's some units in Colorado, for instance, where it would take me 24 points, basically a lifetime, to possibly draw this tag in this unit. And, for a resident, it might be 15, 16, 18 points, somewhere in there. When it's seldomly hunted by the same guy like that, I think that's an instance where providing that kind of information might be okay.
Yeah.
Because there's very few tags allowed in that unit to begin with. But yeah, if it's an over-the-counter unit or something of that nature, it's not going to be something where you want that information out there.
I wouldn't think so. But, a lot of these apps, you just sit here and I type it in, you can pull up OnX, HuntWise, and, it mixes in with some different things that, like there's hiking maps and different topo maps that show different things, hunting stand, GPS, hunting tools. I mean, there's a bazillion of them out there now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a bunch, and some are better than others, and they've all got kind of their own features. You just you got to kind of pick and choose and try them out. I've tried a couple, and I know what I'm looking for in one of them at this point, and OnX has been really good. This is the second time around we've used it, and there's been a ton of improvements since the previous time we used it. It's gotten much faster. They've added some new stuff. 3D mapping is one of them.
Yep.
And when you're really scouting out west and trying to get the lay of the topography and stuff, that 3D mapping is just invaluable to kind of get, the real bird's eye view on how everything lays and what a drainage looks like, or a canyon or a saddle, or all that different stuff, and
the bluff that you might fall off of.
Yeah, been there,
that's kind of handy. That's kind of handy.
The one thing I would like to see them improve, and we were kind of talking about that today, is their wind feature. They do give you the wind direction for a set waypoint and the speed of that wind, but I would like to see more of a wind cone. Kind of gives you that smoke and shows you, how far the scent might carry. Things of that nature. There's a few other apps that have it. I think that's something that if they added would really kind of complete what they've got going on.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I actually like about the C-Map really well for fishing, especially kayak fishing, because I can tell which way, I get arrows that pop up over the lake, and I can really see which way that everything is running across the lake, so I know kind of how to plan my route the best I can. Can I get over here? Can I make this run, so to speak? How's that run going to be? And that's definitely paid for itself a few times as far as, being able to plan and looking at where I want to be. And if I want to fight it all day, or if I want to find a place where I can make a run, get back in and tuck in and fish a good area.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it'll wear your butt out trying to sit there and fight the wind just to make casts all day. Just trying to hold your position.
Says the guy that we made paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
Let's make that run across the lake. Yeah, all right. We come out. It's blowing at our back right now. And as soon as we come out of that freaking finger, it was blowing right in our face the whole rest of the way across there.
Yeah, and
that
lake is Tucker Lake is infamous. It's like you will paddle. It does, and Brummett will tell you this too.
It doesn't matter which direction you go.
It does not matter which direction you go. By the time you get to your destination, the wind's blowing the other way, and you got to turn around and go back.
Yeah.
Kim. Yeah, my wife absolutely. Every time I take her, it's like it's all peaceful and calm. I get her out there, and then it's like, hello, wind.
Yeah, give me pedals on that lake all day long.
Yeah, it definitely needs pedals. Talking about apps, so this is kind of off the subject. We're both, so if people at home don't know, Zach and I both are social media managers. It's kind of one of the things that we do.
And if you haven't figured out, we have no guests tonight. We're just rambling about random stuff.
Congratulations to you guys. You get to listen to this. Everybody just left. So I was exploring around, finding apps the other day, talking about hunting apps and different things. Go Wild. I don't know if you've looked at this app or not, but there's a lot of cool stuff on this thing. And I mean, it's like this.
I've played with it a little bit, and we could get the owner of that on here.
That would be cool.
They've got some cool stuff. I've not put a whole lot of time into it. It's more of a social media platform for outdoorsmen and women. There's actually ways to build points within the app and get you discounts on new gear, which is pretty cool. They got several companies they work with and offer their gear through kind of an online store within the app. It's a pretty cool idea. It's
and tips and tricks.
Yeah, it's definitely gained some traction since I first found out about it probably 4 or 5 years ago. I've only posted on there once or twice maybe. I just, you know how it is. You know, when we're on social all day long, the last thing you want to do is get on another social media app. But I do think as far as, you know, outdoor stuff goes, it's one place you don't have to worry about your stuff being policed or shadow banned or anything like that. You can get on there and see the stuff you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, you can sit here and look at it, you know, log trophies for hundreds of different species. There's the point system and unlock rewards for gear discounts, like you were saying. And there again, the blog thing, I think, is one of the cool features that really caught my eye, because it gives the OG riders a place that might not be video savvy, a place to post. And, you know, when you're flipping social media, if sometimes when the picture hits you right, you got to stop it and read it. And there's just people, I think, too, that I like to stop and read what they write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, bottom line.
Yeah, the guy we had on here a couple of weeks ago was, you know, a prime example that anytime Adam takes the time to write something, I take the time to read it because I know it's going to be good. He spent years writing for Peterson's bow hunting, and he's doing some super cool stuff. They're on one of their club trips right now over in Germany, visiting the Leica factory, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild trip.
Yeah, that's a bucket list item probably for sure, I would imagine.
So we haven't had just a solo episode since episode 14, where we kind of went through and talked about the different guests that we've had on this show, which has been, again, another amazing run of different guests that we've had since episode 14. What's been your favorite here since episode 14 as we kind of have bounced our way to episode 22?
Man, it's hard for me to think back just off the top of my head and figure out who we've had. But I know, you know, a couple guys. Well, I mean, I got to reconnect with Colin a little bit through social that day, and that was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. And it was awesome to get him on here and hear his story and what he's doing now. A guy that's, you know, kind of been around and done what we're doing, and found a little bit of a new path and what he wants to do. And kind of, you know, hear about his fitness journey and what he's got going on there. That was a really fun episode. And then, you know, last week getting to actually sit down and talk to Adam and figure out what the signature series events are all about. And you know, what they've got planned for the future. That was a lot of fun as well.
I'm going to go back. One of my favorite ones thus far, from 15 up, has been Winter Vanecki, episode 15.
Oh yeah,
the Olympic skier, freestyle skiing. Gosh, just such an amazing story and what she's accomplished and how far she's come in such a short time, man. It's really been very unbelievable what she's accomplished at such a young age. Again,
yeah,
it makes me feel like I need to do more than what I currently do, which I don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was an episode after our last solo, and yeah, that was that story was one for the books for sure. I hope to get her back on here at some point in the future, but it's been cool just to watch her since then, just with training, and they're starting to hit snow now and all that stuff. It's just a super cool, very motivational story for sure.
And then Josiah Pleasant was another one. He was episode 18. Mm-hmm. And what an amazing story, the journey that he's got going on there in Alaska. There's a lot more there to talk about as well. Yeah. Just the different adventures. I mean, every time that he could come on this podcast, he would likely have a different adventure story from Alaska to tell us. How is Alaska not an adventure?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, and speaking of, you know, Alaska and the Arctic Circle and all that, I know it was prior to that, but Yeti and Yolo have been on a massive adventure since then and done some super cool stuff. And we look forward to having them back in the future because they've been up that way and, you know, drove around up in that, you know, the Northwest Territories and the Arctic Circle and all that stuff. And they've just got a super cool story to share after all that. I'm sure that was an unreal experience.
Yeah, that would be again, it's almost every guest except for episode 16, the lost episode. I would like to have almost every person back that we have had on this podcast so far. It's just absolutely incredible what people have gone on to do. I mean, even since the podcast, Jameson Redding, episode 4, he has launched his TV show.
Yeah.
And now he's out filming round 2. It's crazy. Jason Cassidy, our very first guest, he's got some new things.
Full season in the books,
full season in the books, and then he's got some new things in the hopper that are very cool. That's gonna be head turners, and that's cool stuff. Nick Troutman wrote a book, dude.
Yeah,
a children's book.
I don't know where he finds the time.
Yeah, episode 2 of the Orion Podcast. Nick Troutman wrote a book. Great book. I bought it. Buy it on Amazon. It's The Little Girl That Could, I believe, is the proper title. I need to look so I don't. Sorry, Nick, if you happen to catch this. I'm trying not to botch the title of your book. But it was a great book. My wife read it. She loved it. And, unstoppable what he's been able to do. Let's see here. I buy a lot of kayak fishing pedals. Yeah, it's The Little Girl That Could by Nick Troutman on Amazon. So if you guys are in the market for a good children's book for Christmas, highly recommend Nick's book. It's a great book.
I have to get that one for the girls.
Yeah, you would like it. Actually, it's really good. Gosh, man. Then there's so much more. You talked about Yeti and YOLO, and then we've had Chris Funk, Matt Ball. Dustin Nichols. There's just been one great podcast right after another. Lane, Fred.
Yeah. Lane's been on some cool stuff this year. I've been watching his stuff. Fred's out bird hunting right now. He's finished up a couple awesome tags. His mountain goat hunt. Yeah, it's it's what this podcast was meant to be about from the very beginning, right? Adventure.
And I think it's been that way so far.
Yeah, it's we've got a whole laundry list of guests that we haven't been able to talk to yet. It's a busy time of year, trying to get in with different guys and their schedules and all that stuff, just with hunting season and trying to prep for, show season and travel and all that stuff. It just makes it tough to kind of coordinate sometimes.
Yeah, and show season, we were talking before this whole thing started, and it's like December is here in a couple days, and December is really that last little bit of time to get ready before everything really starts to go again. Boat shows start, ATA. Really
got ATA, then I'll have World Archery Festival in Vegas.
Yeah.
Shortly after that's Indoor Nationals in Louisville. And then I think the next big one will be the Redding Trail Shoot out in California. So I'll be doing some travel this year.
It's going to be nuts. When is Indoor Nationals? Just out of curiosity.
It's usually in March. I think it's usually sometime around my birthday.
Yeah, it's
in there.
The later one. And then ATA in Indianapolis is always good, and it's here, so that's nice.
Yep.
But yeah, boat show season starts for me. I'll be off to Louisville. I think is my first one of the year. Don't know how many I'm going to do. I know one thing that we're going to do this coming year in 2023. We're going to take Doc Talk, the other byproduct of the Orion podcast. We're going to do one of them live.
That'll be cool.
And from Canoe, Kentucky, one of our other guests, Nathan Deppenbrock. We're going to take it into his shop, and we're going to have a Doc Talk Fun Tour live bonanza, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Logistically and technically, that should be fun. You're going to need more microphones.
I'm going to need a lot more microphones. I'm just hoping not to screw it up, honestly. So yeah, we'll have a live podcast right there where people can ask questions in house, and do a little chit chatting with some of the crew that works at CKY, and then we'll have some seminar type stuff. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that one. And I think that's actually going to be later down the road in March. I think we're looking at, if I remember right, it was March 25th. Yeah.
That'd be good. Should be starting to warm up around then.
Yeah, it should be. Hopefully we can get some people to take on some fancy new boats with them too. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But main thing is talking fishing with friends and family, and you know how it is when you're at ATA and the different places that you got to go. It's just good after, especially once you hit January and February when it's just miserable cold here.
Yeah.
It's good to get out and see faces.
Yeah, for sure. That's one reason we schedule our big Disney trip in February when we do, because we're sick of the cold here by then. So it's good to get out and get south and get a little bit of warmth.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, what do you've got in store for, what's the rest of 2023 look like for you as far as ideas? Where are we hunting?
23, hopefully we get back out west, either Montana or Colorado, chase some elk again. That'll be good. And then past that, I don't know, we've talked about Alaska caribou. I don't know where we're at in the planning stages of that one. I'm sure it'll take some time, so I don't know if it'll happen in 23 now, maybe 24. And then, hopefully I've got this buck's number now, so hopefully we're able to put a good whitetail on the ground.
Yeah, we've got some fun stuff we can film around that. Hopefully this buck might get a whole story named after him in the Chronicles of Limestone Media. And
yeah, he's got a name now, so I've got an idea where I want to put a food plot in, and hopefully that'll bring him to the farm a little earlier, a little more regularly, and we can put a tag on him
if it rains around here next year. So yeah, I mean, you got that, and then I'm going to try to sucker you into at least one fishing trip this coming year. I got one.
It'd be good.
I think got one out of state that I feel like you need to take. I feel like I kind of want to drag you to Kentucky for a weekend.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good time.
Hopefully, I can make it happen. Getting away is the hard part. So,
well, and then Project Pheasant Hunt. That's one that's definitely still on our bucket list in the Dakotas. So
yeah, it'd be nice to make that one happen for sure.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to take me and Zach pheasant hunting, just hit us up. Drop a comment below. We'd be happy to go. But yeah, new boat. So I've already got my new NAR. It's ready to go. I've had it out a couple times, made its first few rounds. So I got that boat ready. Just Coosa X for, my paddle boat for the year. And I'm pretty much ready.
Yeah.
Rumor has it there's going to be some new tournaments around to fish around here. So kind of excited about that. Might be jumping back into that a little bit, but we'll talk more on that later with another guest that I've kind of got lined up for that. It's going to be good, man. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, that'll be good. It's always nice to be able to itch that competition, scratch that competition itch that you get throughout the year and get out. I know that's one thing I've missed is shooting some 3D tournaments. So it'd be nice to be able to get out and shoot it, nothing else, get out and shoot some local 3Ds next summer. Especially since I've already got a bow set up and ready to go. But
yeah, and it is nice to get out and scratch that itch, but it's also nice to, go out, do the pictures, do the content work that we have been able to do.
Yeah.
That is just as much pressure sometimes as the actual like fishing tournament, because it's like, well, kind of need to catch something, kind of need to get this shot, kind of need to get that shot.
Just as much fun too. It is. When you enjoy it as much as we do, spending that time behind the camera is just as much fun as shooting or fishing or whatever.
Yeah, I think your mind's at a different work flow, if that makes sense, because you're building something. You're building, not chasing. And I think your mind kind of goes into a different place when you start to build something. If it's like a kid playing with Legos, they just zone out and they can see where they're going with that build. I kind of feel like that's kind of what taking pictures is like, where you just kind of have this visual imagination in your mind and you're just running around trying to make sure it all happens.
Yeah, it's just, expressing the creativity and trying to capture something that you've maybe never seen before, or catch something from a new angle, or slow motion shots are always fun, and just building stuff that captures someone else's attention and trying to bring them along on the journey.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, like I said, a lot of ways that scratches that competition itch in a way, or I forget about it. Maybe I guess would be the best way to put it, because I'm so enthralled or infatuated with getting the best picture that I possibly can in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I mean, you're always trying to learn and grow and get better at, whatever craft you're doing too. So there's no shortage of that with photography and videography. That's for sure.
No, there's not. So, that takes us kind of back to Chris Funk, and, people just seen this doc talk, or not doc talk, but just seen the video, the trailer for the Kusa X, which Chris Funk took a lot of photos for that. And shout out to him, man. One of our guests here, episode 7, those were some of his best kayak fishing pictures that he's taken, and I get to look at them all.
Yeah.
And they were so cool. And I gotta save some of them for winter, because I run out of stuff when the water freezes.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's, the qualms of being a social media guy, right? You've always got to you can never have enough content to keep things flowing.
No.
And it's at a point, especially for us, because we take a lot of photos too. We can't just continue to use our own photos over and over and over again, because then it just looks like we're, self-promotion when we're running other companies' pages. But it's hard sometimes to find those guys that you can lean on for all that content.
Yep. And it takes a lot. I think that's what, people look at social media, and you see some of these pros doing it now so heavily, and there's a select few that are good with what they do socially. Brandon Polnick is one of them, and his cameraman Kyle, they absolutely crush it time and time again. But what people don't understand is how much freaking work is involved with that. It is, you get 100 photos, and the way that Instagram's set up right now with everything from carousels and reels and stories, you can blow through 100 photos a month.
Yeah. Or more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
And need more in a heartbeat. And, there's a lot of people I just don't, they think, oh, well, I mean, but at the end of the day, these companies really look at that kind of stuff, and they say, they need somebody that's going to provide, because it takes us a lot of content to get through. I mean, we've got a whole fishing team, a whole whitewater team, but still there's always a need for more. I mean, and you guys have got staff at.
Well, and even just for like my own personal brand page, with Huntley, I need throughout the year, I need more scheduled content only days, to where that is the sole purpose of the day, is to go out and create content. Not only for me, but, just to do justice for the companies that I work with and the partnerships that I have. And to be able to make sure I'm giving them the value that, they deserve on their end too.
What is just to kind of give everybody at home a quick rundown here, what is our combined Lightroom album at now? How many photos?
I don't know. I've got over 10,000 in my Lightroom total.
Yeah, I want to say ours is approaching, and it doesn't say. Yeah, I dare to say it's approaching 1,500.
It is. I'll tell you here in just a second.
You're gonna make me look like I'm way off. It's gonna be like 800. I can feel it.
Here. Did we relabel that folder?
Nah, it's just called fishing, but it's got everything.
I think it's called Limestone Media House now. I renamed it. I'm seeing 877, and that's
second guess was right.
Yep. It's on the low side
Yeah.
of what we've actually grabbed, because that's not
Yeah,
everything total.
No, we've removed some. And, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm 10,500 total in my Lightroom altogether. So
and that's 4 hours, 4 hours time roughly, and collecting probably 300 to 400 a piece, and then
yeah,
cycling it down from there.
yeah. And I mean, just to give you an example, I came back from our 2019 elk trip with over 1,800 images, and that did not include the video clips.
Yeah.
And that was like a 9-day hunt that year.
I think I've cleaned my phone out twice and shoveled stuff off to my hard drive this year, and I've got to actually do it again because it's full.
Yeah.
And we've actually found ourselves buying Google Drive.
I've got to find some sort of mass storage solution. It looks like it's probably going to be some sort of network access storage. It's just so dang expensive.
Elon
it's
needs
cheaper.
to help us out.
It's cheaper than Google.
Yeah.
But you're looking at 24 terabytes and two 12 terabyte drives, and then since it is network access storage, I can still pop up on my phone or my iPad and access it from wherever I am, as long as I've got internet service. So that's the big advantage to it. Even though it's offloaded on another storage device, we can still grab it whenever we need it.
And in the name of hunting and fishing, it's insane. It really is.
And it's, there's a lot of product photography in there, but at the same time, there's a ton of memories in there that I otherwise wouldn't have if I wouldn't carry a camera.
No, absolutely not. I think that's been one of the funnest things with what we've actually sat down and done this year, is like there's just a lot of cool shots, and some of them there's a couple that I've got to get printed out and put on the wall in here, because I haven't done that yet this year, and I usually do it in December, so that time is arriving. So you might see some of your artwork in here on the wall here very, very soon.
You'll probably be the first one to print them, because I have not printed.
You need to get on
anything. I know.
But no, there'll be there's definitely some in our combined album that I think I want to go back and grab. Me and my wife was actually talking today, carrying around a camera. We've got probably more and better, clearer pictures of our grandkid now. Yeah, I'm that old.
Yeah.
In case anybody wanted to know, I'm in my 40s. It was early. Okay. It was early. But yeah, so we've got more pictures of her and clearer, better pictures than we've ever had, just because, cameras are better, phones are better. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, that was, when I first got my first camera, that was a big conversation we had is, this is an expensive initial investment, but look at all of the awesome images that we will have from our vacations and trips and how, home life and just everything from here on out, for the rest of the time. Because I don't plan on ever not having a camera. In fact, watching Matty Hapoya's video on that Leica Q2 today, I was like, when can I hit the lottery and grab that $6,000?
Oh my
gosh,
that thing,
and that thing takes some phenomenal. Oh, I know, but I feel like in exactly what he was talking about, that fixed 28 millimeter lens, just to kind of geek out on everybody a little bit, restricts you enough to cause you to be more creative and get shots that you otherwise would not get because you had a longer lens and you could reach it.
Yeah, and I think there was times where that was running a 24 to 70 Sony lens. I found myself saying, dang it, I just can't get close enough. Well, I had to get closer. I was, the only answer. Use your feet, get there. And, there was a lot of that, even still. Now, I mean, obviously, new lens will be here tomorrow.
Buddy.
But still, it offered good creativity to get out there, get a little bit closer. I didn't get quite some of the shots that I wanted to get just because my lens wouldn't reach. Yeah. But,
well, it's tougher too when you get on the long end of that lens and you're trying to get something that is really further out than what you can reach, and you think, okay, well, I can probably crop this in a little bit and still retain some of that sharpness and get the image that I want to get.
Yeah.
But while doing that, because you're at the long end and because that object is further away, you really need it on a tripod or at the very least a monopod, just so you don't have any of that handshake in there blurring that image that you're trying to grab.
Well, and that's what, takes you back to what Reed always said when we were shooting bows: magnification magnifies movement.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
that was always his big topic. We should have had him on the podcast tonight. Just made him join us.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But no, I think, you can get a little shaky, and it hurts when you got to make sure that shutter speeds up and you get it.
Yeah. I saw that. Firsthand when Evan got his 70 to 200 lens right. The day we left for our 2021 elk hunt. And that was something he realized right away he was having a real hard time, especially in lower light, getting the sharper images that he wanted to get and trying to handhold that thing in the dark. And it wasn't, he was having to rest it on something and really kind of give that thing a solid base just to get rid of that movement and get the sharper image he wanted to get. Because you can do some stuff in post to denoise and sharpen an image. But if there's too much blur there, there's just too much blur there.
Well, and the cameras are strong enough now that you can get away with a lot more than you ever could. If you can grab a focus point, even if it is at a distance, it will pick up pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, with IBIS and optic, the optic stabilization and the lenses and whatnot, it's definitely helped it a massive amount for sure.
Oh, 100%. And looking forward to doing more of it. That's for sure. I think that I need a new camera too.
A second body would be nice, but
it would be.
Mine's going to have to start paying its way a little more before I can justify that.
How many B&H photo and Adorama sales did you look at over the week?
Well, I did order that set of SD cards because that was a killer deal and it was on a time limit and I couldn't pass it up. So I got a couple 256 gig cards so that I can have one in each one of my slots on the camera. So now I got a set of 128s and a set of 256s, and if I fill that up, then it's going to take me a long, long time to go through all that. Now the big thing I'm still waiting on right now is I want to upgrade iPads. And I've kind of talked myself out of going to a laptop, which I considered for a little bit. Just the mobility standpoint, being able to, pull the iPad off the keyboard, grab the Apple Pencil and retouch all my photos. I can draw graphics if I want to with the pencil. That the pencil is going to be a big jump forward from the one I'm on now. And I never bought the first gen pencil for this one. Even though I thought about it. Even though I had thought about it. But because I knew I wanted to upgrade iPads, and the Gen 2 only works with the newer ones. But yeah, I think that's. There's with the new M2 chip in them, there's a whole lot of stuff like DaVinci Resolve for video editing coming, to the iPad now, which I think is going to be huge, especially with all the real stuff going on and even quick YouTube edits and all that. I think it's gonna make the iPad a really super nice tool for when I'm traveling and on the move. If I'm going on hunts or coming home or whatever it is, I've got my iMac as far as the desktop and it's a powerhouse, but I need something more mobile, and I think that's going to be the ticket.
I really find myself using it all. I will sit down, I will drop my card in this laptop, and I will upload to Lightroom via my card from my desktop or from my laptop.
Yeah.
Let it do all that heavy lifting, pulling all that stuff in. Then I'll sit down, in the chair, I'll grab my tablet and I can edit with it. Or if I'm on the move, obviously Lightroom's hooked to your phone, so you can pretty much keep it going anyway. Once you start a project, it really carries through all things, no matter where I'm at.
It does. It's nice having Creative Cloud, and especially it looks like I'm going to be stepping back into Photoshop a little bit, so I'll have that as well. But yeah, the majority of the time, if we're traveling, I've got the card reader. I just pull the card out of the camera, plug it into the iPad, and I dump straight into Lightroom from there, because having the card reader allows me to transfer RAWs, which is the only thing I shoot. And honestly, I'm not sitting in front of my computer all that often. When I am, it's nice to be able to to dump into Lightroom there because it's it's nicer to be able to organize stuff and adjust your workflow. But the majority of the time, I'm running on the iPad Pro for sure.
Yeah, and then having Google Drive and the different things like that where you can grab and I'll grab a lot from Jackson Kayak and throw it on here and there, and that gives me a place to house all that information so it's not clogging up the line. I can download it, post it, and delete it.
It's nice too, having that on the iPad because then I can go into my photo album and just clear everything because I'm not worried about having cell phone photos and stuff like that I've taken to the kids or different things that I'm gonna screw up and delete that I didn't want to delete because they're on the phone. On the iPad, I don't put anything on there that can't be deleted. So just clear.
It's all everything that's on there is meant to be trashed at some point. And that's another nice thing about Lightroom and the cloud and all that. Once you edit your photos, they're there and they're hopefully always there. That's the goal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if anybody should have stable servers, it's Google and Adobe. So
if Adobe ever goes out, I'm in trouble.
I'm in a world of hurt for sure.
But yeah, so I think advice, I don't know. We went a lot of different ways.
Boy, this was a treat.
This is like what it's really like talking to us driving down the road. In case anybody ever wanted to know.
Yeah, we chase rabbits like nobody's business.
Chase rabbits and squirrels and all kinds of good stuff. And here we are with the most random podcast you've ever heard in your life.
Rabbits and squirrels. I saw a possum from the tree this week, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's always fun till you get down and like that possum's like right underneath your tree where you didn't know it was. Usually he'll scurry away.
Yeah,
I like to hiss a little.
It was midday. It was midday, which was funny.
But I think advice. If we was going to give advice to anybody, especially after 2022, I think anybody that's definitely serious about being in the social space or taking their hunting, fishing to the next level, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself.
And when approaching companies, find out how you can provide value to them.
Yeah, because it's not you are not the value. It is how you can provide value. Those would be the biggest words that I have for anybody. So,
if they needed you, they would have already found you. Close it out. That buck. So I'm hoping to get another day or two in the woods back around Christmas. This deer I chased for 8 straight days last year. He's been in my mind ever since. 8 straight days. He was completely nocturnal, except for the last day, which we were at Zoe's first birthday party. He daylights on the 13th, the day I'm not there. I don't know how many all-day sits I had that week. Probably 6. And then a half day. This year, he shows up on camera for the very first time on the 13th. Last year, he was an 11 point. This year, he's a 13 point. So there's something about this buck and the number 13. I don't know what it is. But he's earned the name Lucky. I don't typically name bucks, but there's just something about this deer and he's under my skin. So
well, I hope it doesn't end up like the one that I called the Phantom.
Yeah.
Who made a near Thanksgiving Halloween somewhere in the middle of that first opening weekend of gun season appearance every year, and then that was the most disappointing day ever.
Yeah. Well, he's got a broken leg now. As of the 19th, he was on trail camera video and was not putting weight on that right front. So my hope is that he decides to lay very, very low and makes it through winter okay and heals up and shows back up next year. And I've got his number. So
there you go. Well, guys, you listened to us ramble for an hour, so we're going to put this thing out of our misery. We will be back with the Orion Podcast. We've got a guest. We promise there will be a guest December 13th. December 13th. Ironic.
If it is if it's the one we've been trying to schedule, it'd be well worth the wait. I know we're both looking forward to it. So
yes, the one we've been trying, the guest that we've got on the hook is it's a good one, and we're excited about it. So we hope to see him and you guys on the 13th. It may be a pre-recorded deal. We don't know. We're working out the logistics to make this thing happen, and we think you guys are going to like it. So with that, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the 13th.
yeah.
Buy your own Orion coolers, jacksonkayak.com. Buy a Coosa X, your local Jackson Kayak dealer. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Later.